What is up, guys? While my car is in the shop, I figured that I'd make it just a fun video talking about the very first car that I ever had back when I was in high school, a 1995 Pontiac Sunfire, and the color was like metallic magenta. So the story is, when I bought my first car, I didn't have any money at all. My neighbor across the street from me had a used car dealership at the time. He knew the situation that I was in, and he said, "Hey, look, I've got this car, you might want to check it out. It's not the coolest car you've ever seen, but I can get you a really good deal on it." So I went and checked it out, test drove it. Everything was fine, and I ended up buying it, my very first car. Pretty soon after I bought the car, I decided to paint it because I was really sick and tired of the pink color. I was getting made fun of for having a pink car. So I decided to go with lime green because I wanted to be like that Mitsubishi Eclipse in the Fast and the Furious. For some reason at the time, I thought that was like the coolest thing ever. So I started painting it with spray paint. Now the problem was I was so poor back in the day. I just had like a part-time job at Office Depot. I could only afford to buy a couple cans of spray paint at a time. So like I would get a paycheck and I would buy like 10 cans of spray paint. I'd do the hood one week, then the next week I would do the door, then the next week I'd do the trunk. So I was driving the car with like multiple colors going on. It looked ridiculous. Eventually though, I did get the car painted all green, and it still didn't look that great because it was just spray paint. And eventually my mom said, "Hey, you've got to do something about your car. It's like bringing down the value of the houses in our neighborhood," or something like that, something funny like that. But she made me go get it professionally done. I took it to Mako. I did like the $500 presidential paint job or whatever they call it, and I had it painted dark blue, which I actually thought looked pretty cool. Now the main reason that I got it painted and I paid money to get it painted is because I was planning on selling it, so it had to look good. There's no way that anyone would have bought that car with the green color that it had on it. I ended up selling it to a very close friend of mine at the time, and the first thing that he did is he got the windows tinted. He tinted the top of the headlight, the little eyebrow thing that was popular for Sunfires, I guess, and he got a system installed in it, and he drove the car for about 2 years, I think. This is the last photo that we have of the car before we sold it on Craigslist. It's funny though, because in a lot of my videos people are always saying stuff like, "Oh, BMWs are so terrible, they're not reliable, they're money pits." Well, it turns out that cheap cars can be expensive too, because the Sunfire, even though the repairs weren't really that expensive, it seems like every month there was something going on with that car that had to be fixed. Matter of fact, the day that I bought the car, something broke on the transmission and all the transmission fluid spilled out. Had to get it towed back to the dealership. Fortunately, my neighbor, being the nice guy that he is, the first couple times that it broke, he paid his own money to fix it, which was awesome. But, you know, eventually, like during the 2 years that I owned the car, I ended up spending more money on repairs than what I paid for the car itself. So that's something to keep in mind. Even though the repairs on the BMW tend to be more expensive, it rarely breaks. And during the 2 years that I've had the BMW, this is only the second kind of serious thing that it's had to go to the shop for. So be aware of that. Just because a car is cheap doesn't mean that it's going to be cheap to own necessarily. Alright guys, leave a comment below. Let me know what your first car was. I'm really interested to know that. Maybe you have a funny story to tell about it. But anyway, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.